the process of life in search for the truth in our existence. What is the purpose of life? We are constantly searching for something, wanting something, needing something, realizing something. We want attention in everything that we do. This is the human nature. We um, either want to be famous, we want to be leaders, we want to shine, we want to have the most followers. We have to be real about the situation. We have to be real about the ego. And not to say that it's wrong to do so, it's very good to do so. It's learning the integration of what is needed and what is no longer needed. And so every process of needs and wants is a realization to what is true. You are searching for a particular addiction, like the food that you eat, the clothes that you wear, the things that you exercise into, is the process of existence and finding your true self. Now the problem is we're always addicted to something. No matter what, we're addicted to something. And you know, I was listening to a lecture the other day, and you know, he stated that when we are addicted to something, when we overcome it, we just reach the balance of it. So that addiction doesn't actually phase away. It always exists. You know, they say that energy could never be lost. It can only be transformed. So from time to time, your energy would transform. You may stop smoking for 10 years and then smoke again another 5 years and then stop smoking for another 10 years or 5 years. The process of balance is the ultimate key, which is stilled within a pyramid. The pyramid is a great symbol, specifically a three-pointed pyramid. When we look at the three-pointed pyramid, the two corners at the bottom of the pyramid are how our mind think, and the top is who we truly are. This is who we are, and we're constantly searching for balance between the two, and we can never truly find it, because the ultimate key is to be in the center, to be innocent. And this is why the process of growth and the process of being a child is so important. To experience every experience as if it's a new experience. When you do so, you then reach a different form of realization. When you can experience someone in different ways. If someone's done you wrong, try to experience them in a different way the next time you meet them. And if they continuously do it, then obviously you have to let it go, but there's a process of just integrating that person and giving them a chance. Every time that you see someone, they are constantly changing. They are never the same. Their cells are changing inside of them. You know, how they process, how they think may not change as much, but will actually change. Some people change very quickly, whereas other people, it takes them a longer period of time to reach that state of change inside of them. So change is the ultimate truth in reality. Nothing else beats the truth of change. And ultimately, if change is truth, then who are you? Who are you? If change is truth, who are you? If change is a constant truth, then we could say that what we see as real is not real, right? The truth is that you are the only one that is experiencing the truth, which is you're getting old, you're losing consciousness in the essence of everything around you. Everything is dying in some ways. Nothing is actually living. So you're actually realizing this truth. And by realizing this truth, you then notice a change. And then you realize that the only truth is change, but it's not. It's actually you who is noticing everything changing around you. You have never changed. The only thing that has changed inside of you is how you think, because you've realized that there is a truth in everything that is happening around you. And that truth is processing how you will next see your process of thinking. And so you will always be, and you always was, and you will always remain the same. It's this observer that is there. That is who we look upon, and we don't realize that this is who we are. Now, if this video cuts, then continue watching this on my YouTube channel, right? Because I will constantly be uploading videos on my YouTube channel, and it will be from this video. So when we look at this belief, we then kind of look into the depth of then who we truly are and what we are. And who we are is an observer. And the more we can get into that observer, though that observer has an ability to oversee things, it also has an emotion to feel. That emotion is serene. That serenity is not felt in the same modulation as the feeling that you feel for somebody. The moment you feel love from somebody, you're opening up your heart. But then that moment that you open up that heart to that person can also turn into hate. So then that cannot be true love. That can only be an experience or a sensation of what love can be, right? But the true love is so divine that there is no feeling so much attached. It is a feeling that is not felt. It is a feeling that is beyond the feeling, that it's so high that there is no need to go back and look for it. Because once you look for it, you then lose it. So it doesn't actually exist. It is what it is. That's the best way. And that is, in a sense of realignment inside your spirit. And it's also a sense of the higher self, which cannot describe itself to the ego. It can only try to teach it through pain. And so the ego is a painful, it's a painful state. The ego is constantly in search of greatness. It needs greatness. Otherwise, it will never be comfortable in where it is. It searches for greatness. It wants to know what greatness is. And the more it searches for greatness, the more pain it finds in greatness. Because, for example, someone that is famous, the moment the state of fame dies, they either want to reproduce that fame again, or they truly accept that fame is not the key. For someone that reaches so much wealth, so much money, to the point where they have so much money that they want even more money. Why is it? The process of the ego wants more. It wants to do more. It wants to be able to evolve. And so it feels that in order to evolve, it must consume more. Whereas it's the reverse. To be totally peaceful is the true state of evolving. Because the more attachment you have, the more occupation, the more things that you have to look after, you need to take care of. So the more things you need to take care of, the less time you have to process the true self, to process what it is that you are. Because you are expanding, you are actually decreasing inside. You are giving more out and you're losing what you have. And so the process of the true self is to find the reality of reality that we live in, this reality that appears to be true. It's actually an illusion. If it's dying, then it cannot be true. If it's alive, if it's living, if it has a soul, if it has a contentment, then it can only be true. Everything that you see is alive. Nothing is actually dead. But everything is in a process of death. And so that process of death is only something to borrow for the meantime. That process of death is showing you that it is only shape-shifting in this reality. It is not actually what it is. It appears to be what it is because it confuses your perception. But that perception is constantly remanufacturing itself, thinking that it's you, thinking that you are that. You know, you seek something, but it's never yours. Though you have it, then it's never yours. It has to leave you at some point. You have a partner. That partner has to leave you at some point, whether it's by death, whether they leave you. You will be feeling a particular emotion when they leave you. You know, you miss them, you create friction. The process of life is to feel the joy or the feeling of happiness from something and then to leave that, to then understand that. Because nothing comes without the other. The greatest lie is that true happiness is money, relationships, having, you know, the greatest time with friends. That is only sensation. It is not the truest and the greatest of all happiness. The truest and greatest of all happiness is when you can become a child. What is becoming a child? Have a look. Look at children running around. Look at children smiling. What is it that stimulates that energy that you don't have? What is it that you're missing that these children have? Can you go back to a time when you was a child and realize the happiness that you felt even when there were situations which were pretty tough? You probably can. The only one thing, obviously you have children who are born in a particular way. So that can sometimes block certain forms of happiness. Now, we don't know all of these things, but we have to look at the quality of an incarnation that took place at some point in another life, which created this circumstance to manifest itself. You know, sometimes it may not be the child's fault, but then what is the incarnation of the previous life thing? I'm not saying that the child had wanted to have that, but then what actually happens, it ends up forming inside of them as a thought that they have probably magnetized into their psyche. So in reality, again, going back to that, everything is in search to find who you truly are inside. And you constantly battle with that. You know, we have fears and we have things that we overcome. The things that we overcome can only be stimulated by willpower and love. Love overcomes the fear that we have. Love needs to be stimulated to such a degree that it can push you towards. If love cannot stimulate you, then nothing else truly can apart from your will. But the will in itself is actually a form of desire, and that desire is stimulated by love. So the desire to be happy is the desire to let go of things that no longer serve you. Everything that you see, you have to remember. And this is a process of remembering, because the moment you are in a state of happiness, that you think that you're happy, there's always a balance. The higher the peak, the lower the process of down. So always remember that. And if you can remember that, you can also remember the joy in it. Because when you fall down the ladder, you can truly appreciate it when you go back up the ladder. And that's the key. When you go to sleep, you can truly appreciate it when you wake up. So that process of life and death is a constant reminder. Everything is teaching you. The cycle of the moon, every full moon, the energies peak. You know, the moon shows you that every month. The sun shows you that every day. And that's the first thing that human beings should be actually grateful to observe. And if human beings can be grateful to observe that, then they can be grateful for everything else that happens to them in their lives. And they can also understand that everything is on a cycle. And that cycle is not you. The planets are cycling, you know. Your body is going through a cycle. Your work is going through a cycle. Your relationship is going through a cycle. All of these cycles are just aspects of yourself, which is finding the truth in what it is. Each cycle will teach you that you must awaken to it. And the moment you can awaken to each cycle is the conscious, and the more conscious and wise you become. For every cycle that you're present and noticing is when you truly find the realization of who you are. Because the more you realize a cycle, you then have a relationship with it. You wake up in the morning, you meditate. At 6 in the morning, you cultivate the chi. You naturally awaken the cells inside of you. You actually connect with the stars. You wake up through the process, you continue. You juice in the morning, you awaken the cells in your body, then you feel this higher vibration. And then the more you feel those vibrations, the more you become addicted to it. Then your vibration raises. So what happens? You then start to change your habits because you realize, for example, alcohol did taste as good as it did back in the days, but now it's shifted. It doesn't taste as good because you realize that the greens, the super greens, the high that you get from the green, the high that you get from the meditation is much more serene. And then you continue the process of replenishing yourself, and then you become aware of the feelings of the moon. You notice the emotions of the moon, and you start to take care of the moon. You start to love the moon, and then you become aware of the sensation of the sun. You know how the sun moves through each zodiac sign. You know how the moon moves each day through each signs. And as this process goes, you then become aware of the other planets, the other celestial beings, and you become sensitive to the point where you start interacting with them, and they start interacting with you. They start to show you their lessons. They start to show you what they don't like in you, and you start to realize what they are. And then you begin to love that, and you begin to make sense of that. You begin to build a relationship with the planets now. You speak to Saturn and you understand. You say, okay, Saturn, I know what you're feeling. I know you're feeling this pain because you really want me to grow, and you want me to grow because you love me. And so you're going to give me that pain. And so that pain will be a replenishment of the true self. And then the true self will realize itself in that process of finding itself through the keys of Saturn. And then you'll go to Jupiter. You'll search for wisdom. You search for truth. You search for justice. You seek the law. You seek the law. You go into the law. And then you actually process the process of law and what it means. And then that question within itself will start to reestablish itself. And then you start moving with the cycle of Jupiter. Every year you'll notice your change. You've made progress. You've gained something. You've lost something, but you've gained something. And in that process, you realize what Jupiter is trying to say. It's dropping something, it's giving you something new. It might be that you go into mental health, and then you reawaken, and then you rise. You go into deep states of meditation or blissful states of consciousness. All of these times of process are you reawakening to each dormant energy, which is the planets. The planets are the dormant source of your true self. Your true self is instilled within those planets. Those planets are mechanisms that function as a part of you to strengthen you, to become you, to show you that you are them and they are you. Nothing is actually separated from you. Everything is already existing inside of you. And that is always being said. People are always saying this statement, but how are they saying it? They are just reminding you that, but they're not actually explaining the key details to how these processes actually function inside of you. How do they actually manifest inside of you? How do they become present inside of you? Tell me. How do they become present inside of you? They become present inside of you when you become present of them. They have less of a weakness over you when you become present. Because when you become present, you then make friends with them. You take them on a walk. You go to the museum with them. You observe how the images look in the glass. You observe the statues. You make a feeling. You connect with them. You go and play football with them. You take them to the cinemas. You feel their sensation. You take them to a different state of consciousness, and then you start to understand what they're going through, and then you know how to respond to circumstances, and you realize that the truth is that they exist inside of you, and they're going through their growth, and their growth is inside of you. They are learning something about you as you are learning something about them externally, and then you begin to create a deeper state of connection there, and everything becomes realized at this point. You start to know everything that's inside of you, you know. And then when you know everything inside of you, you don't even need to be here anymore. You've reached that state. But that state cannot be reached just like that. That state has to go through many incarnations. You're probably here for many more incarnations. You think that you are your last incarnation because everyone's talking about the age of Aquarius. Everyone's talking about the age of Aquarius and 5D and 4D. That is the new age. We have to step away from that. We have to get to the reality. The reality is that you're going through a process inside of you. Someone else is going through a process inside of them. You are at different state of consciousness throughout in the whole collective consciousness. Many people are here to complete a particular karma. Many people die early because they have to teach other people other things, or they have to resolve something that they didn't resolve, and so this had to occur in the process of understanding for them. That is not raising to 5D, 4D. That is them going through an experience. And you will have to experience that based upon a karmic law that is instilled by the great star Sirius. And you have to just be aware of these things, because these are the true awakenments of your true spirit. Your true spirit is constantly searching for you. You know, it's constantly searching for you to reawaken. Yes, if you want to believe the 4G, the 5G, the fourth dimension, the sixth dimension is out there, it is. But although we are shifting, if you are not shifting, you are still there. You know, we shift based upon our awareness. Our awareness is what gives birth to shift. How aware you are is how high you shift. So shifting your awareness is how you move dimensions. Dimension is actually a state of awareness. It's nothing more than that. If you're aware that you have a short life and you can extend that life by deepening the connection to yourself, then you will do that. If you say, however, life is too short and I just want to live it to the max, then you still haven't fully understood. So therefore means your state of awareness is at a lower rate. And so that state of awareness still needs to raise to the next level. And so it may take you through many more incarnations until you can reach to a particular level when you can actually finally decide and say, okay, I'm ready to take on my state and bring it to the next level. And then you become more conscious, more aware, then your mind shifts. Naturally, you start to pick up on higher vibration. How does that happen? Because now your mind has become more still. Your desires have become less. The reality is that life has taught you certain faculties that you didn't learn in the past. So then you was always running around doing this and that, going to the biggest clubs and raving and, you know, going to the greatest grime scenes and going to the most, you know, gulliest hip hop dances. But now you've just shifted a little bit. You've actually just decided, okay, I have more awareness now. I have more consciousness now. I am able to perceive a deeper layer of my mind, and I'm able to sit down on my own. And then you start noticing your friends start to reduce. You start noticing that the people in your life don't actually have the same, they don't have the same path as you, because they're still stuck in a particular way. Some people are stuck in the aspect of taking different substances, and then some people are still taking the spirituality into a dance, or a what can we say? They're taking it into a process where they're just not appreciating the process of well, they appreciating it in a different way. So they're not actually taking it for its true form, and they're just kind of recreating what they actually normally do during the day. You know, but obviously that's still spiritual. I'm just saying. But like, so the ultimate key, the ultimate truth is really that the more you awaken your awareness, the deeper your state can grow to different levels. And the different levels don't really have a word to explain, because awareness is a memory. Awareness is a memory which is instilled in the experience of the viewer. Awareness is a memory which is experienced in the viewer. The viewer, which is the self, holds those memories instilled, so then it can move along its process to higher states of awareness. The more you become aware, as I said before, the deeper you can notice what the cells are doing. The deeper you can go into your mind and heal the traumas, the pain, all the resistance that has occurred. That is what awareness does. So the people who are actually the most craziest ones are actually the ones that are actually more aware in some way. They have actually penetrated their psyche to the point where they have now noticed that something is wrong. However, someone like, you know, that is working like for the highest corporate company probably doesn't even know about how crazy they are. They haven't even touched the craziness. They haven't even noticed it yet. They haven't gone into a mental hospital or experienced something crucial to realize that they are in a state of madness. they are waiting for the peak to occur, and the peak can get even worse. So the truth is, when you can notice and you can go crazy and realize that you're not crazy, you're just experiencing something that is preparing you for your next step, that's when you realize the truth. So the awareness of that, the trauma, is actually the healer. The trauma then teaches you how to heal what was there. And when the trauma shows you, then the trauma is no longer there. So you have to be aware of the trauma. Sorry. So the awareness of the trauma is the beginning of change. The non-awareness of the trauma continues the cycle of birth and rebirth. So the moment you can be aware of the trauma is the moment that you're ready for your next state of evolution. So the process of life, in essence, is about finding the deeper states and realizing that everything around you is just an experience. And, I really wanted to talk about this because, I feel like a lot of people that are around me, though they are conscious and they are very aware about their reality, I still feel that there's a lot of dreaming that goes around. So bit by bit, I'm actually just reducing the people that I'm connecting with because I feel that it's not conducive to my growth. And, you know, and I feel that it's important for you to grow. And if I can't feel the same push, then I start feeling that there's something missing. And then eventually, I got nothing against them, but I just have to just change and move to the next level. Because what happens is that pull is actually blocking me from moving to the next step. And it's the same way with, when you're working and you're giving a service to people. The same way you're giving a service to people, the more they require your attention, the more you want to disconnect from them. It's just a process because everything about you is about freedom. Nothing is about attachment. The moment someone becomes attached to you, detach from them. Because the key is not to be attached. You want to love freely. You want to love unconditionally. Why you should be in a relationship is not to be attached. You should be in a relationship to enjoy. You shouldn't be in a relationship to just attach yourself to lose yourself. No, the process of it is to be with someone that can be detached. If you can be detached, then you can truly love. If you cannot be detached, you cannot love. You cannot love because true love is freedom. And so when you can realize that true love is freedom, the moment you make an attachment to someone, you've committed a sin. You've actually said that you want that person to be your sinner. You actually want them to be there all the time. If something goes wrong, they have to be there. Yes, they can help you, they can be there at times, but they can't always be there. If you happen to travel to Birmingham and they are in New York, how are you going to be there when something happens there where they are? You have to remember that your existence is your existence. You cannot expect anything from anyone. You can only experience them. Every experience for you is yours. You cannot blame other people for anything that has been done to you because you can only acknowledge the truth that you have created that thought somewhere in your mind and they are just reflecting what you have just created inside in your mind. And the moment you can deal with that reality, the moment you can feel everything around you and really notice what it is that you must do to transform that little last result to make yourself a true divine being. So freedom is the truth. Freedom is the truth. That is the truth. Everything else is an illusion which prepares you for freedom. Everything else is an illusion which prepares you for freedom. So freedom is the truth, and change will show you